Now, the one fortunate thing going on right now within Hollywood is that we do have a handful of celebrities, whether it's actors, actresses, or more, really grouping together to call out other Hollywood celebrities out there. For example, you got those like Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger even. You have others like Tim Allen, and now Mel Gibson, just to name a few out there, really calling out the nonsense coming from the media, coming from the film industry, the music industry, whatever have you, that is pushing the typical anti-Trump agenda that people are very exhausted over. People are just very tired of being lectured to by Hollywood celebrities, being lectured, of course, from those out there like Robert De Niro, Jane Fonda, George Clooney, Julia Roberts, and many others. However, when it comes down to Mel Gibson, he recently called out the hosts of The View, Sunny Hostin, Whoopi Goldberg, and Joy Behar in the best way imaginable. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, we all know that ever since the assassination of Charlie Kirk, we have seen the media openly lying about him, mocking him, politicizing him in ways that you would actually never even think of. But what's interesting here, though, has a lot more to do with Mel Gibson's take on Sunny, Whoopi, and Joy, and what they've been doing both on and off air of The View. Now, we know one thing about Mel Gibson right now is that he is really trying to make a comeback with his acting career. We know that in the midst of all of this, he is promoting a new movie called Hunting Season. We'll talk more about that down the road. However, what's interesting here, though, has a lot more to do with Mel Gibson's overall take on The View, ABC, Disney, Sunny Hostin in particular, and more. Now, with many actors now coming together to call out the hypocrisy of Hollywood, and the media, of course, after the Charlie Kirk assassination, one major development going on now involves more to do with actor Mel Gibson calling out the hosts of The View, Joy, Whoopi, and Sunny, and, of course, after they all mocked both Charlie Kirk and President Trump multiple times in the worst ways on live television. Now, Mel Gibson delivered the following, while promoting, of course, his new film, Hunting Season. You know, the problem that I have the most with the media, he says, is that they obviously lie, and if I had to name one program that does this in the most obvious way, it's The View and its hosts. I mean, just take one look at Joy, Whoopi, and Sunny. They really do take their issues to the viewers and the public personally if they so happen to be on Trump's side. And unlike other media outlets and hosts, which of course the hosts are bought and paid for, I feel, The View is a whole different story. It's a whole different animal. I genuinely believe that these pathetic hosts that actually get paid to be on the air to lie actually love lying to the American people. It's not just their job, it's their purpose in life. And that's the saddest thing about The View, is that it was once something great, of course, for the American people. I'm talking well over 10 years ago. And looking at it now, it is beyond obvious that it is nothing more than propaganda. I just have one question for Sunny Hostin. What's going on with your husband? Can we get some answers, please, on that? This is the same Sunny Hostin, by the way, who has a husband tied up with fraudulent cases. And why ABC hasn't fired her over not holding ties with that also, but also trying to suppress that, I don't know. These are the same hosts that politicized Charlie Kirk's assassination, which I thought was absolutely insane. How are they still allowed to be on the air? That's a bigger question at large. And look, I get it, they dealt with some suspensions here and there, but it's just not enough, man. ABC and Disney need to cut it out already. The minute you go on television either calling Charlie Kirk or his supporters misogynists or sexists, it really should be game over at that point for their time on television. I mean, am I wrong here? I definitely don't think so. If the tables were turned, believe me, talk show hosts would be fired instantly for saying such things like that. Now guys, let me just stop right there about Mel Gibson and his take on The View. Now, it is very much the truth of what he's pointing out here that, yes, if the tables were turned, let's just say if you had a equivalent version of The View that had, strictly one-sided politics and mocked one person's assassination or politicized it, they would absolutely be fired, alright? That's the end of the story. But for some reason, when it comes to ABC, when it comes to the Walt Disney Company, Disney will never allow anything like that to happen, and if it even does, it has a lot to do with the suspensions, right? Now we know, of course, that the hosts of The View, they have dealt with some consequences, such as getting fired from Toy Story 5. We covered this just a couple of days ago. It's just not enough, though, as far as I'm concerned. It's really not enough at all, because what really needs to happen is that The View has to be canceled. They have to be fired from that show. The entire show has to either be revamped and completely turned over to something different, or you have to have new hosts come on board at the bare minimum. Now, he goes on to continue, and that's my problem with the media. They are very hypocritical, but they also lie and get away with it all the time. But what I'm most proud of right now is the American people waking up and beginning to realize what The View is all about at the end of the day. This is Disney after all, let's not forget about it. They have 3 big shareholders who want to force that narrative. Yes, I'm looking at you, BlackRock and Vanguard and State Street. As long as they are part of Disney, this garbage narrative will always be present in one way or another. So guys, let me just point that out there yet again, and another point that Mel Gibson is correct about is that yes, the top 3 shareholders, in case you guys did not know, it is indeed BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. They are the ones that push DEI. They are the ones that push for ESG. They are the ones that absolutely love what Disney has done over the years and support what Disney has done over the years when it comes to the DEI narrative. And look, that's not to say that Bob Iger is being held to do this by the shareholders. He actually loves doing it. But at the same exact time, they are the ones that are funding Disney. They are the main shareholders funding the Walt Disney Company, hence funding ABC and The View. Now, what's interesting here, though, is that he continues, it's those out there like Joy, Whoopi, and Sunny who only made it easier for Trump to land that election victory in 2024. So I guess that we can thank them for all of that. And you know what? It is true. The media did make that election decision for many Americans out there easier because of how many times they were lying about, Trump supporters, Trump himself, just MAGA in general. One thing about The View, though, alright, is that we know that what has to change right now is, at the bare minimum, and we all know that they're not going to do this anytime soon, shift completely away from politics, 110%, diminish it all, and just focus on entertainment. Entertainment news or talking subjects or world news subjects. That's what The View should really focus on. And they're not going to do that like the old way it was. So we know that Bob Iger is 100% responsible for allowing BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street to continue to take control of the Disney company. And look, let's face it. They are the top 3 shareholders, and they're not going away anytime soon. That's just a given fact. So Disney is going to always Disney, and I've talked about this before. They will actually do some actions here and there that will actually be seen as them, taking some kind of, responsibility. But at the end of the day, it's nothing more than a temporary, optic for Disney, right? Just a way for Bob Iger to actually look good, or to actually improve his legacy, or to improve his status as CEO. And we know that Bob Iger has been trying to act more and more like a politician now in 2025, that's for certain. But overall, I would love to hear what everyone has to say about Mel Gibson's take on The View, the host of The View, and more. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later. Everything.